Guys, we're here. We're live. If you're on YouTube, watch this on YouTube. What's going on? My name is Joey One, aka Chicago Joey. Joined today by a young gentleman who was one of the first podcast guests I've ever had on. He is one of my all-time favorite podcast hosts. I've listened to his voice in my head for many hours in my time when I was playing the 10 cent, 25 cent, 50 cent dollar, 1, 2, and I was the big no limit player. I hear the audio is coming from somewhere. But I used to listen to this guy so much. I had him on a podcast, and now we're having him back on because we're going to be talking about a upcoming cash game appearance, an actual live in-person cash game live stream that I'm going to be playing on. It's going to be half no limit, half PLO. And Bart, I just found out, I thought he was going to be commentating on location. He'll actually be commenting remotely. So
yeah, we actually use Google Hangouts just like you do. It's pretty cool.
I feel like I inspired that idea too from talking with some people that started using Google Hangout during their live streams too. So I'm very happy to inspire that new trend here starting.
Well, David Tuckman's my best friend, and he just did all the World Series of Poker Europe. Was that just went on, or is it Australia? I can't keep track. But he did that all remotely too.
I joined him for a PLO stream on there,
cool.
And yeah, they had a pretty cool setup where they had his beautiful face here in the up corner, and then the guests came on and they all chatted. So I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you don't need to be in a place now to commentate on poker, which is pretty cool because there aren't many commentating jobs out there anymore. So anything you can do to cut the costs, unfortunately, the poker market it's just contracting. I mean, I'm talking about away from the game, just everything around what is poker media just keeps getting, less and less. I think that if you caught any of the World Series this year with their live, the way that they did the live TV, I can't imagine that they're going to put that on again. Live, I mean, you know what I mean? On regular, and it was just, unwatchable. For guys like you and me, if we're into poker and we can't watch it, I just can't imagine how a regular person could watch it.
Yeah, I sort of gauged the response to regular people I knew that were on like my Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. And no one said I liked it. Like not one person, maybe like day 2 or day 3, but no one for day 1 was like, yeah, I really enjoyed watching that. That was fun. Like I would look forward to seeing that again.
Yeah, I mean, it's good as a TV show when they cut it up, and that type of thing is actually probably good for a live stream. But just to have that on TV, I mean, you don't really play a lot of tournaments. I don't think. I don't play a lot of tournaments too. I don't understand what it is the need to just play so slow and tank. It was one thing a few years ago when there was a guy that was doing it because he thought that he was giving away some sort of timing tells. But now it's just like that Israeli guy. He was just doing it. I don't know. I think they said that he was just doing it to be a dick.
What he said, the Zavi Stern guy?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. He's doing it to be I mean, really? Doing it to be a dick. I could see that.
They just they're always, apparently he always does that. In any tournament that he's in, like for no reason. And it's just so I mean, talk about playing at the table, but it makes it impossible to watch.
Yeah.
If you ever wanted to make poker a sport, but.
All right. So some more information on this live stream we're going to be doing, guys. It'll be on Tuesday this week. If you're watching this a year from now, we already did this. So you can find it now. You can sort of stop watching if you like. You don't want to watch anymore. You can't be bothered to watch now. You can go find the live stream, but it's going to be happening this Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. It'll be on the PokerOnAir Twitch stream. I'll put the link in the description, and YouTube, I'll put the link on everywhere social media-wise. Bart's going to be commentating from his home in LA. I'll be playing Adrian Phoenix, one of my best poker friends. I haven't seen him in a long time. He never comes to the United States. For some reason, now he's going to be in the States twice this month. He's going to be playing this game. Also, your good friend Andrew, aka what's his 2+2 name? I feel like he's got to be known for the 2+2 name more than anything. Moki.
He doesn't. Well, I hear some audio in the background. He'll go by Austin when he's there at the. That's what his name. But we just call him administrator. But he's gonna be Austin the administrator or something like that. But he always wears something dumb like a cowboy hat or something like that. But he'll be there too. He's actually a decent PLO player. What's the deal with Adrian, in terms of, is he a huge, I mean, I know he's done, a lot of stuff on Twitch, but is he a huge online guy?
Yeah, he's been playing No Limit online for a pretty long time. Yeah, maybe maybe, but he's been playing before I started. So he's sort of like, he's gone in spurts up and down in terms of how much he actually played. And as of recently, maybe last couple of years, he's been playing a lot more. Obviously with Twitch, you know, it's more, he feels that he's probably a little bit more motivated to put in hard work and really keep playing. And yeah, he's definitely, I mean, if you hear him talk about no limit when he does his stream and hear him just talk like actual strategy, he gets pretty in depth with it when he streams. So it's, it'll be fun to see how he is in person. I think he's going to dress up in something too, I believe. I don't want to spoil it for anyone out there, but
okay,
it should be, it should be interesting.
Something too.
What'd you say?
You're going to dress up as something too then.
I am.
You are.
Yeah, I'm going to dress up not in a tank top, so you won't be able to say anything about me on the stream, kid.
Twitch, I was going to say Twitch is a real interesting thing with poker because, I mean, these guys, you have like a bunch of TV shows too that kind of stream out on Twitch. So PokerOnAir, the thing that we're going to be on, we were talking about this before we went on live. They've been doing this for 3 years. It's like actually sort of like Live at the Bike. It's a cash game. And if you just follow them right now on Twitch, you know, they have a cash game every Tuesday. It's usually no limit, but this is going to be half PLO and half no limit. And they just do it out of this warehouse that one of the guys has had in his family for like 100 years. And they made it into a poker TV studio with, you know, RFID cards and tables. I think people don't realize how easy it is now, Joey. Like you can get a table out of the box now for probably less than $2,000 with RFID scanners. The actual card decks themselves cost maybe a couple $100 a piece. And then, of course, you need the cameras. But the table with the RFID and the software, like you could get in and out and have like a poker TV show with whole cards for under $5,000. And it just keeps getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. That's why all the graphics are all the same. If you on all these web streams, because it's all the same software.
Oh, that's interesting. So is it who created this table? Is it one company that made the table?
Company in Germany, I think. It came from Europe, but yeah, the idea, I don't know if the technology is patent, but it's just basically there's a chips in the cards, like microscopic, you know, barcodes that and then there's a scanner in the table that reads it and it relays the signal to the software. And that's basically it. I mean, people would think that the next thing that would come, like for tournaments, would be like RFID chips in the actual poker chips. I don't know if that will ever come to fruition just because of a cost thing. I just don't know if it's practical. Like if you created like a super duper one table sit and go, like they used to do like 10 years ago for like $10 million, you know, you might have one chip set where that could be controlled, but in an actual, you know, tournament that's televised, I don't see if that's going to ever be practical. You know, where they count the chips and everything automatic.
Where they have like that way they can give you accurate, you know, how much everyone has, sort of in real time too. It could work in like a live stream type of sense as well. If you're live streaming an entire tournament, you have these, you know, up to date, accurate representation of how much each person has in chips too.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I think Twitch is like a really interesting thing because, you know, a guy like Jason Somerville and Jamie Staples from Canada have like monetized their streams because they have so many viewers. But there's like a ton of other people that just stream their poker playing. Now you're way more of an online guy than I am, but like, what do you think about that? Like, why are people streaming their play if they're not getting anything out of it necessarily? I mean, I know you can have subscriptions and stuff. It's just interesting to me.
I mean, I don't stream the play personally. I just stream. I do a podcast. I'll sometimes watch some of the high stakes action, or I'll do some, you know, DFS stuff, or mainly podcasts here on Twitch and on whatever I do. But I think they do it because it is sort of a motivating thing for a lot of people. It is a way to sort of like make a name for yourself. Because in poker, I mean, you got to make a name. You got to be a woman, or, you know, no shots at women, feminists. Don't get on me on Twitter, please, for fuck's sakes. You got to be a woman, or you got to be good at poker. Like you got to be some results. You got to be, you know, playing online or win a tournament. Like you got to have some sort of credibility behind you to get a name. And with Twitch, you're not able to make a name for yourself without having any credibility for yourself. Like you can be bad at poker and have a name for yourself in poker now on Twitch. So it's like, I mean, you could be.
Who was that guy with the horse head that like ran up so much money back in the day?
Sticky Rice, exactly. He was well known in poker for being bad. Like, I mean, I think
to be famous type of thing, even though they're not necessarily making anything money wise out of it. They're like, oh, I'm going to stream and have 10 people watch me.
You know, it could be sort of like a long-term type thing too, as well, where you have an idea of a dream. You start streaming now. You can build yourself up to be at this level. Maybe people can follow along with you, getting better and better over time. Maybe people can give you input on your play if you're not that good already. Because I'm sure I know a lot of these people aren't very good at poker. So people watching you, giving you feedback in real time could actually be a benefit for you. I'd have to ask people that, actually. I mean, and figure out why they do it. So I'm sure it's like a combination of things. Everybody wants to be well known. Everybody wants to be respected for what they do, or wants to be looked at as something. And so I'm sure that's a motivation for a lot of people to do it.
I wanted to ask you, you play like a lot on Bovada, right? Because I remember you were talking about somebody with a cash out. I actually just made my first Bovada cash out, literally, because I make Omaha 8 videos, and I finally had enough money where I was going to take it off. I mean, has it always been so hard to get money off of there? Like, they sent me a check that was entirely to the wrong address. They wouldn't do a bank wire because my name was associated with poker. Is it just something where it doesn't seem like I think my take, and you probably know better than I do, is that they probably make so much money. I'm not overly concerned that they're just going to shut down and walk away like some other rogue sites, but I think their struggle is just that whoever they pay to process the payments is obviously a sketchy payment processor or flat out illegal. And maybe they either have to lie to them or just like keep switching processors. So it's this whole big fucking thing.
Well, if you ever do any get bank wires on there, you will see they come from the weirdest places of all time. So they come from various countries, various names. It's definitely yeah, I'm not really sure if it's always been that challenging to get money off. But I think if you're cashing out like not a wireable amount, or you can't get wires to you, then I think it is challenging. Yeah, but I've always felt like most people get a check pretty easy.
Well, no, their policy now is that you can only get a free check once a month, and it's a maximum of $3,000. So, and then after that, you have to pay a $40 fee. But I mean, I don't even know. I haven't gotten my check yet. I had to call FedEx and change the address. I have no idea how they have an entirely different address in LA that has nothing to do with me. And then I assume that there's like a 50-50 chance that the check won't clear. I mean, it's just, you really have to love online poker, I guess, to play on there. But, the games are good.
Yeah, I mean, there's other good sites. I mean, that's sort of why the untracked Euro sites, you can cash out through Skrill on those sites. So those sites are good because Skrill, even with WPN, you can cash out to Skrill if you have a non-American account. So it's like there's always all these hoops. It's not easy. It's never easy for anyone. Like if someone's out there and they want to do all these things, like it's really challenging to do as an American right now.
Oh, well, interesting. Well, speaking of that, actually, I did this thing with my website, Crush Live Poker, where I've been doing all this, running the company, playing at the World Series, traveling to China like a dozen times to give lessons. I haven't really played full-time poker in a long time. So I told everybody at the beginning of October, on October 1st, I'm going to challenge myself to play 450 hours of live poker by the end of the year, which is, basically a full-time schedule, about 40 hours a week. And I'm on pace. I've actually put in like 325. It's a grind. I haven't played full-time poker in years and years and years. And I've definitely learned some things. Like, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that if you want to keep a regular schedule, and this might sound as counterintuitive to what traditionally people think, I think that you actually need to sometimes leave a good game for the sake of your schedule. Because even if a good game might get you double your average hourly, if you're going to stay there for, say, 3 hours extra, and you're not going to be able to put in the shift the next day for 8 hours, and maybe the next day is just your baseline hourly, well, you can see that you've actually lost out. And I found that it's just when you're putting in that type of volume live and physically driving through LA traffic, that keeping a schedule is actually really, really important. I've only deviated one time, and that was when a guy gave away $40,000 in 10 hours at 510. I had never seen anything like that besides like one other time in 10 years of playing live. But so I think that live poker players might get into this rut where they, say, well, when the game's good, I'm going to stay. And I mean, I suppose you have that luxury if you live at the casino or maybe in some other places where you live really close. But LA, it's a process to get to and from the casino anyways. So, if you're a full-time live player, I think that keeping that schedule so that you can pump the hours in just as long as they're not, bad hours is probably the most important thing. And that's something that I didn't really think about until I started doing this.
I feel like that's like a 6-part thing. There's so many different things that affect. So it's like, okay, if your idea is keep this sort of balanced schedule because you want to do other things, you want to be eating healthier, you want to work out, or you have a family and you don't want to sort of, because, obviously you understand this quite well. When you fall out of that schedule, like when you stay 5 hours extra one night, you wake up 3 hours extra the next day, like now all of a sudden, like everything's reversed, you're waking up this later and stuff like that. So it's sort of like, what else would people's goals be? And you mentioned you're playing this at Commerce, right?
Yeah, I'm playing at Commerce. I actually have posted up. I told myself, I just decided to do it. I posted I've posted all of my results actually up and all the times that I've played. So if you head over to my site, we have like a really extensive forums, Crush Live Poker. If you go to forums and you go to there's a poker goals and challenges thread, my challenge to play 450 hours. I've actually put up my results for each week too. So yeah, it's all Commerce. It's basically all 5-10 no limit with like a little bit of 5-5-10 PLO sprinkled in there. But that's basically it. And then people always say, well, why don't you play 10-20? And that's another lifestyle thing too, Joe. I have this, because I've played a lot of 10-20, and 10-20 is a very professional game. And obviously you've been to Commerce. It's an interesting way that they lay out the games there, where the 5-10 is a yellow chip game. It's $5 chip games, and it's in a different area than the 10-20. The 10-20 is in the high stakes hotel area with the high limit games and the high PLO games. And there are just guys that are pretty decent players that have an ego that just will not move down to 5-10. So it creates a vacuum where there just really aren't any good. I mean, there's very, very few good players at 5-10, and there are many good players at 10-20. So in general, the 10-20 games aren't that great. There's a lot of bum hunting that goes on now in that 10-20 game where they'll only have one main game. So they go must move to must move. And you'll just have guys sit out. It's almost like an online lobby. The regulars, they'll just sit there. They won't play. They'll wait for somebody who, they think is a fish to sit in the must move game. So you have to time it right. And then all those regulars have like the floor men, like kind of as a payroll on their payroll. It's like a whole texting community where somebody comes in, like a big whale, like this guy Obama comes in, and then suddenly like nobody was around, but now there's like 30 people there. You know what I mean? It's just, it's absurd. And, 5-10 is stress-free. I really think that maybe I would be able to make 20 to 25% more maybe at 10-20. And I'm talking literally about 3 or 4 times the variance. So for me to put in volume, I like kind of a stress-free life. I don't have to worry about downswings. So, I'm not worried going into 10-20 and losing $30,000 one month and not really doing anything wrong. That puts a lot of stress. I just think it's a better life.
Well, I guess you probably talk about these things a lot, so you're not necessarily worried about some of the guys here.
Joey?
Oh. Whoops, Joe. My mic cord popped out.
Okay.
Now it's back out. I don't get it in here. Mic cord. Let me fix this thing real quick. No, but the thing you said about the high stakes players and the high stakes room not wanting to go to where the lower stakes are, it's so true. Like people just like, I don't know if people out there that have never seen that dynamic before, it's just some people just refuse to be situated. Like they can't imagine themselves not being in the high stakes area. They don't want to be with the regular people or the peasants or whatever some people might look at them that I've talked to before. So that they let their ego get a hold of them.
Yeah, and especially, but I mean, at Commerce, it's just like I said, the way that it's laid out, it's just like right in front of you. It's different than like Vegas card rooms where, whatever, at Aria, at Bellagio, I mean, the games are all next to each other, sort of. I mean, I know at Bellagio, like you can go up a little bit in the back, but literally at Commerce, it's in a different room. You know what I mean? You got to walk over there and walk back. The craziest thing is that too, I just, if people have listened to my stuff, I don't hold like any casino management like high, like it's just, they're a license to print money and they just seem to always make the wrong decisions. they've resisted putting down a mid-stakes PLO game at Commerce for a long, long time. They used to have like a 5-5, 3 to 1,000 game only during the LAPC because they thought that it was going to hurt their 5-10 no limit game. Well, now they have started a game which they basically took the structure from what over at the bike, which is, but it's 5-5 with a rock straddle to 10. So anybody who wins the pot has to put in a $10 straddle, but the buy-in's 300 to 1,000. And it's so weird because I see people who play 5-5 no limit, which is a $300 to $500 game, play in that game, but they don't play 5-10 no limit, and they don't recognize that PLO at 5-5-10 is going to play, what, 1.5 times the size of 5-10 no limit? Mm-hmm. But the buy-in structure is fucked up. It's just really, really weird. It just goes to show you, like, they don't have anybody that really has any clue as to what should be done, you know?
Well, I played Aria has the 5-5-10. It's 2-5-10 where they have the rock, the same thing with the buy-ins 500 to 1,500. And actually, I think it was 300 to 1,500. And I played a bunch of hours in that game because the 5-10-25, I think it was like 5-10-20 never really ran there. So 2-5-10 was the biggest game. But that game played huge. Like there was some sessions where, I mean, I made like 10K in the session where, hey, the game plays massive. I can't believe that are these winning players that are not identifying this, you think? Or are these guys that are not winning that don't realize that 5-5-10 with the rock and 1,000, like that's a huge game?
No, I'm saying the people that aren't identifying are the people who should be identifying how big the game is are the people that work at the casino, because the whole point of this was to not break the no limit games, but they just have no clue, I guess is what my point is. You know what I'm saying? But I think a lot of times you'll get some short stackers in there. So some guys don't want to necessarily play in that game. My gripe with that game, though, is that, you know, I'm a much better no limit hold'em player than I am a PLO player. But let's just say, and kind of like try to merge these concepts of like live and online win rates per hand per, you know, hour. You know, and usually in live no limit, you'll see like 30 to 40 hands, you know, per hour. But the thing with PLO is that even if my win rate in PLO was, say, 150% per hand, what it is in no limit hold'em, like I win 1.5 times per 30 hands in PLO than I do in no limit hold'em, I'm only seeing 15 hands live in PLO, especially when they allow people to run it more than once, which I understand cuts down the variance. But every single time in that game, it's a clusterfuck when multiple people get all in, there are multiple side pots, and then there's always the question, are we running everything, or are we running stuff on the side, or one person doesn't want to run it, so these two guys are running it. And it literally takes 10 minutes to figure out. So you're really seeing like 15 hands an hour. And it's just so dreadfully slow. And like, I don't know. I don't know if I could ever be a live PLO pro, a 9-handed live PLO pro. It just seems like absolute torture at the mid-stakes level.
That doesn't sound fun. Well, I guess in that game especially too, there's probably going to be a lot more people with shorter stacks. Therefore, there's going to be all in more often because no one folds pre-flop. Three bets go, you know, 5 or 6 ways sometimes, and then you're pretty much all in a lot of flops if you only have $200 behind. So you're definitely going to get it in. The shorter the stack sizes are, you're going to get it in more often. So
you find that you found like some games where it's like half high. You play high low at all?
No.
Okay, because I've seen that cropping up a lot live. Like they do that in Ventura. I have a buddy, they do it in some underground games in Denver, where it's like half PLO and half Big O, which is just great because if people don't know how to play Big O, then it's, you know, you could be a mediocre PLO player and clean up. But that seems to be somewhat of a trend out here.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I know obviously you're a big PLO 8 player. That might. You still think that's your best game, or do you think no limit's your best game, or what do you think?
No, well, I mean, I play more a limit.
Oh wait, yeah, sorry, 08, not PLO 8, 08 in general.
I play more limit Omaha 8 cash games, but you know, when 100, so when they come over to the LAPC, like we'll get 100, 200 game going, and I'll play in that game, and then I play that at the World Series too. I don't know. I mean, I like to think my no limit cash game is pretty strong, but I just know the players at high stakes 08, so I know exactly what game is good. And if I don't know the players, I'm definitely jumping in the game. You know what I mean? The player pool is not that large, whereas, you know, at the World Series, there might be like 25 10 games going at the Rio. I almost never play no limit cash in Vegas at all. If I'm at the World Series, I'm playing, tournaments. I played a huge slate of tournaments this past summer. I did a thing where I sold some of myself to subscribers at no markup, just kind of as kind of like a promotion. If anybody wants to buy pieces of me with no markup, and a bunch of people did. So, I played in like 30 tournaments. Didn't really play a whole lot of cash, but usually I'll play cash. I'll play that 100, 200. It's a 75, 150 to a 1/3 kill to 100, 200 08 game usually. But, when you're putting in that amount of time in tournaments, it's just, you really can't play cash on the side, or it's very difficult,
Yeah. I took you in my fantasy team this summer because I saw you were playing a big slate, and yeah, so I was sweating along with you this summer. I was very much rooting for you this summer. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, I basically had, I got a little bit unlucky in the, the Million Maker was, I got down to, I think 27th. I had a hand that I've talked about where I basically had the eventual winner of the 10K 08. I think my best tournament game is 08. I mean, if you ask me about that, I think going into the World Series next year, I actually might want to work with somebody in my no limit tournament game just for some sizing stuff and some of the pre-flop stuff that maybe I don't have as good an understanding as guys that are like playing massive amounts of tournaments, every day. That's some of the things I probably need to like round out. But the 08 tournament, like in the 10K, Daniel Alahi won that event. And we got into a hand with about maybe 16 people left where I was literally 99% I had 99% equity on a flop that we went to war with. This is an Omaha 8. And I basically had top and bottom with the nut flush draw. And then I turned the nut low draw. And he had a smaller flush draw, no pair, but ran into a wheel on the river. So he turned the second nut low draw with a worse flush draw, no pair. I had top and bottom with the nut flush draw and the nut low draw, and then got counterfeited at the end for him to make a wheel with no club that came. And that one, like, I had to walk off because it basically ruined me. I crippled me, and I was out the next hand. And I mean, the amount of money at these tournaments, like all your equity is at the end. I mean, I've made 4 final tables, but I've never like finished in the top 3 in these tournaments. And it's just like, I look back at my records and I don't have all my tournament records. I'm probably down. I think I must be down overall, just the amount of tournaments I've played, but all the expectation is at the end. It's just, I don't know, it makes you pull your hair out sometimes.
Yeah, it's a big, I just love cash games. I don't know. You don't got to worry about all this stuff. You don't got to go through 2 or 3 years where you have these sort of things happen to you. And anytime you go deep, you're playing well, you have something like that happen. Whereas cash, it's sort of like this, in theory, consistently, up in theory. But it's obviously sometimes that doesn't work out. But
the thing is that speaking of theory, the other thing that I learned, and I agree with you, I love cash games way more than tournaments, but people have asked me, well, what are the games like now? What are how, are they worse? And I look at them and I think that they're just as good as they've always been. But what I realized though is that I'm a bit of a procrastinator just in stuff in life, where I move things off to the last minute, and sometimes I'll put things off. And I really do feel like if you want to be a good poker player, you have to work hard, at the game. I think you can't just play. I think you probably do need to do a fair amount of studying and stuff. And, if I didn't own Crush Live Poker, I'm not sure if I would be the best quote unquote poker player in that sense, where I would put in the type of time to do that necessary to make myself a really good player. However, because I'm a part of this training site, I own the training site, and I do 80% of the content, I'm forced to immerse myself in poker every single day, whether it's making content, responding to people. So I'm forced to study. I'm forced to always think about poker, and it's just made me exponentially better. I can just see it just from grinding these hours now. Like I'm so much better than what I was. And I just feel like I've kind of leaped over the competition that's at that level. I mean, there are a couple of good players and stuff too, but it just comes from almost like forced repetition, which is obviously a good, a good thing that happened on the side that I didn't know. You know what I mean? I started Crush Live Poker obviously to make some auxiliary income. People liked my training podcasts and people liked my videos. I had no idea how it was going to actually improve my game, how much it was going to actually improve my game in the real time.
I think that might be an answer to your earlier question when you said, why do people stream on Twitch so much? Is that it sort of forces them to get better. You want to sort of progress over time. It sort of forces you to play poker, forces you in a way to play poker each day if you're like one of those guys who wants to stream every day or 5 or 6 days a week. So I think that's why people do Twitch too. They find the same benefit from it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I actually see somebody in the Twitch chat asking about Crush Live Poker. And yeah, Crush Live Poker is like a live training site where, it's like Netflix. It's like Run It Once, Card Runners, whatever. It's a subscription fee. It's usually $29.99 a month for the videos and the podcast. We actually did this thing last year, Joey, that we're going to do again tomorrow. Everybody knows what Cyber Monday is. Like, it's the opposite of, opposite to Black Friday, where last year we did a thing. If you sign up or if you subscribe on Cyber Monday, which is tomorrow, the subscription is only $14.99, $15 forever. And we had about 100
forever.
People. Yeah, forever. So you get half off forever, only tomorrow. And if you want to follow Crush Live Poker on Twitter or like us on Facebook, that will put out the link so that you can sign up for subscribe for 50% off. And there was like 100 people that did it last year, so it's a pretty good deal. Only tomorrow.
And you guys know I normally don't like to have people on here who, there's a lot of guys in poker selling things. They got books, they got sites, they got coaching, they do all this shit. But if you're a live poker player, you 100% have to be on the site, like 100%. There's nowhere else to get live poker content. If you play live poker ever, if you literally ever go play live fucking poker, 1-2, you're going to get value from the site. You're going to learn, you're going to get better. I mean, it's great. It's great stuff, honestly. It's really good. And, that's a big reason why I like having Bart on the podcast is because I think the work that he does, I think the stuff that he puts out is awesome. And I think it really benefits people out there too. So,
I appreciate that. One of the other cool things that I signed a deal with Poker Night in America. Poker Night in America is like the only poker TV show on right now, right? Pretty much, besides the World Series.
Besides the all the WPT stuff, I guess that stuff's on too, and the Heartland Poker Tour stuff. But like cash game wise, Poker Night in America, that's the thing right now.
So we're gonna do this thing where people like Alec Torelli is gonna do it starting off next month. People who play on Poker Night in America are gonna do videos on their hands. So like they're gonna come on at least once a month and do videos on the hands that they played on Poker Night in America, which is pretty cool because we do these things where I might do a video on somebody else's play, and I cover, I like to think that I do the best job I possibly can do, but sometimes you would much rather have somebody that's doing it on their own hands because they know exactly what they're thinking. Mm-hmm. And I've contacted like half a dozen people, big name pros, that are going to be willing to do it. So like people that have been on that show. So that's going to be something moving into 2016 that's really, really cool. The show that you're going to be on Tuesday night, Poker on Air, we do a lot of the low stakes stuff from that game because they play 1-2, $300 buy-in. They play 2-5, $1,000 buy-in. And, you see a lot of the same mistakes over and over again. A lot of those capped games, Joey, are pre-flop. I think that PLO is a much more intricate game probably at the smaller stakes than No Limit, because in No Limit, when you're playing like 100 big blinds as a cap and you're facing usually a 4 or 5x open, you can't cold call with much. I talk about this like 15, 25, 35 times rule that's on the site, which means that, you should be making 15 times for set mining with pairs, 25 times to flat with suited connectors, and 35 with gap suited connectors. If you're playing a 2-5 game and you're 400 effective with a guy and a guy opens to 25, you can't call with Jack 9 suited, but you see that shit all the time. It's 90 to 95% all pre-flop mistakes at these small No Limit.
What are the stakes we're gonna be playing on the cash game on Poker on Air?
It's 2-5 No Limit and 1-2-5 PLO, I think, with a 1,500 buy-in.
Okay, so 1,500 buy-in, good. Yeah, I wasn't sure what the stakes were. I was just in. I thought, I got to be honest with you. When I first saw the names on Twitter, I thought you and Tuck And Rimdog and Rumcase and Adrian were playing on this game. And I was like, man, I got to get in this game if there's PLO involved. I was like, fuck, man. I was like, you got to get me in this game. There's PLO.
Yeah, that's why you hopped in there so quick, huh?
I was like, yo, get me in this game. Because it was Twitch, it's Twitch. All those guys are in one place. Like, I like all those guys on the list. I was like, fuck, man, this sounds awesome.
Actually, it's really good. If you're interested in getting more, listenership and stuff to your podcast and to your stream, it'll be really good because anytime they do those things on when they put it on, it's going to be on the front page of Twitch. It's not a normal stream. Obviously, I commentated on the Twitch stream in Las Vegas, which was like insane. It was like a Twitch poker show. We actually did it in somebody's house. It had like Negreanu, Somerville, Phil Hellmuth, the Las Vegas cash game. And I think there were 19,000 viewers at one time. So, I expect this to get it just because it's going to be on the front page, 6,000 or 7,000. So, just picking up people that might not necessarily be familiar with poker that, you can, bring over and listen to the show and stuff like that. So,
yeah, I think I was invited to play in that game in Vegas this summer, but it was just no limit, I believe. And I was like, I had no idea. I don't know. I'm not sure what I'd be doing. I think it was like Nano Noko and Negreanu and Hellmuth. And I was like, yeah, even if like people might not consider them good at no limit, like cash games, they're still going to be good, like pretty good players. They're not going to make any like massive mistakes. I don't think so.
Dude, that game got out of control. I don't know when the timetable is for them making that into, making that into a TV show. They've only been streaming internet stuff now for maybe the past year because it's the same cameras, right? They go and they film for TV and they're like, well, we can stream this on the internet. We're just use the same cameras, but it takes about a year for them to turn over the TV show. But God, I want to say Antonio might have dropped like 150,000 maybe. The game is 25.50, but at the end it was 25.50, 100, 200, 400. There is a hand, which I'm sure is going to make the TV show, where it was either a quad or a quin straddle. First of all, the game is usually supposed to be a $20,000 max buy-in. Normally on PokerNet America, they just let that go. But it was either 4 or 5x straddle, and it was 25.50, 100, 200, 400, maybe 800. And I think it was the biggest pot by far that's ever gone down. It got folded around to Antonio in the quad straddle, and he limped in with ace-10 suited. Negreanu had kings in the quin straddle and made it like 3 or 4x, and Antonio called. So the pot was already like, I don't know, $10,000 with like a limp call. And they were only like maybe $60,000 effective. And the board came out like 10 high, and Antonio check raised all in, and it was over $100,000 pot. It was pretty crazy.
Wow. I'm looking forward to that episode. Yeah. I think Jamie Staples was in that episode too. I think so. I can't remember anybody else who was in the episode. I think we named most of the guys. I'm not sure how many other like extra guys came into play too.
Elke was there because Elke does that whole streaming thing. And by the way, that kind of pops up. I was looking at how long have you been around like in poker for? Like when did you start playing?
2007.
2007. Okay, so when we're on this Twitch thing, I saw on my Twitter that Dutch Boyd, he's been like streaming a lot too, and like he was streaming the WSOP, like I don't know, he plays online in Vegas. Do guys like you that have only been around in 2007, are you aware of what happened when he got popular and why people dislike him, or do people just not even know, or do you not even know who Dutch Boyd is? I don't know.
I'm very aware of that for sure. Well, I've been on 2+2 pretty actively since 2007, so obviously Dutch Boyd's he's got a very bad relationship with 2+2 and a lot of his things that he's had.
Okay, I just didn't know if people weren't aware that he literally or supposedly had
allegedly
had almost akin to like what Full Tilt did, basically, where it was a poker site that stopped and the money was gone. But this was before like the party poker boom, again allegedly. But that was really one of the first ones, and people were, because people weren't on the internet, or the internet community wasn't as strong back in 2003, and because poker wasn't, as popular as it is now, it was never brought up on ESPN when he was making his run. because I think he finished like in the top 20 the year that Moneymaker won. You know, there was that hand with the king, queen, and the pocket threes. And I mean, I can't even imagine now if something like that were to happen where this known guy came on, you know, and, you know, it was never made mention of. It would be, you know, insanely blown up on the internet, you know?
I just want to let people want to make sure they understood what Bart said, because that's a big reason why. I mean, like I see him stream. I probably can't have support for the guy ever in my life, and not to mention just with other situations he's been in with 2+2 and other things like that. So he had a poker site and he took the money from people. Like he took the money. This happened a long time ago. So there's a lot of people on Twitch who are new to poker who don't know any of this stuff. And you know, I'm not sure how you necessarily educate these people that this type of thing happened with him before. But yeah, it's definitely something when I see him stream, I'm always like, I'm shocked he like is doing it. Like, and it's pretty wild to see. It's pretty wild to see.
I mean, there was some other thing too, that was some sketchy other thing too, right? That where he kind of sort of took the 2+2 domain in some way. I mean, it's posted up on 2+2 as a sticky.
There was a lawsuit. They had like a lawsuit between the two. I'm not exactly sure the specifics of what he did, but
yeah. But I just wonder sometimes how people who kind of come in new. I mean, I think that people have come in new through Twitch and through video gaming, and they might not realize how you've got to watch yourself. It used to be that you got to watch yourself in live poker, that these guys are angling you. I mean, they say some of the best players back in the day were not only just the best players, they were the best cheaters too. But I think that the internet world is probably way, way worse. I'm not like overly concerned that I'm being cheated in a casino really all that often, but anytime I have any money on any site, or just anything, it's online poker has not really had a good track record, I don't think, over the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, Ghost Rhino, we're talking about Dutch Boyd. That's what we're talking about. I met him in person. I mean, obviously, I think like when you meet people in person, they usually seem like a nice guy. But
in person too, over the summer, he actually wanted to. He approached my administrator Andrew, who built out Crush Live Poker. He has this site called Tasty Stakes, which I actually own a piece of too. And it was, I don't know if you saw, we blasted it out on social media over the summer, but it's basically just managing like tournament packages. It's free. And he approached us about, I guess he was doing something similar. I mean, he seemed like a nice guy, but I mean, we were just like kind of going in. We're like, well, how could we ever really do business with this guy? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. A couple comments here. Let me go back up. Trevor Greenewalt, who is the commentator for Poker on Air, he says, really looking forward to meeting you on Tuesday. You too, Trevor. I like your haircut, man. Your haircut looks very GTO, very optimal. If you don't know what GTO means, let me see what else we got here. 7 Dude said, I was a part of Check Shove Poker, which had him as a team member. I had to leave because of that reason, and a few other questionable members. They definitely had some questionable members on that little.
What was Check Shove Poker? Was that something recent?
Honestly, I'm not quite sure exactly what they did. I think it's by a kid named Hunter, who started the site, and I think it started off as something different before. Maybe it was supposed to be some sort of training site where they had they had like pros on the site, with some of the pros certainly were questionable, actual professional poker players, and I think it might be pivoting into something else right now. It might be something maybe more of a personal type of site, but I'm not super sure on what it is. But I think there's like a lot of aspirational sites out there that would like to be a version of a Crush Live Poker sort of thing. So,
it's a training site.
I think it was something like that. Yeah, I think it was a training site with pros, and I believe it was maybe something supposed to be something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, like I said, I said to you before, maybe we started recording. Unfortunately, the poker market is like really, really contracting. I'm talking about the stuff around poker. Like, it's really contracting. It's a really, really tough space out there to do anything around poker, to make any type of money. And I'm kind of jaded because people will come up to me, Joey. I'll get half a dozen people a year at some point come up to me at one point or another and be like, oh, I've got this idea that's gonna make money. And then as soon as I hear that it's anything to do with poker, around poker, I'm just not really interested, because I know that people's time are better spent making money in other sectors. I'm not talking about playing poker. I'm talking about making money around poker. And you could actually see that in the if you went to the World Series this year, there's just kind of less and less vendors around. It used to be like crazy. Now, you know, I had the Crush Live Poker booth, and there was a Run It Once booth next to me, and then there were like some tables and stuff that sold like, you know, phone chargers, and, you know, one table set up for books. And yeah, it's just kind of slim out there. It's so much different than what it once was like before 2006. But now it looks like DraftKings and FanDuel, or I guess it was DraftKings that was signed with the World Series, they're not going to be advertising with the World Series, is my understanding, anymore. So it's going to leave all this like space for these ads, and I don't really even know what's going to necessarily fill in there, you know?
What do you guys pay? What does it cost there to have? Because you guys had set up. You guys had the two. I think you had the two TVs. You had two TVs sort of playing footage from the training site as well.
Yeah. So yeah, actually, I'll give you the whole breakdown because it's kind of interesting. And I'm not exactly sure if we're going to do the booth again. I've got to run the numbers because it's basically the first year was 10,000 for that space, and then the second year it was 15,000 for that space. But they gave me a deal where they gave me commercials on the live stream. They plastered. I was really happy last summer. I mean, with the World Series, really happy with the way they treated me. They put Crush Live Poker like up on the chip counts. We had a live stream commercial. So I think I paid them 23,000 for everything. So it was only 8,000 more. But the booth itself would have been 15,000. The thing is that it cost me about maybe 8 to 10,000 in labor for the summer. So it cost me about 30,000. It costed, you know, for both of those things. But, you know, now that I've done the booth 2 years and people know about Crush Live Poker, there's an option for me just to do the commercials on the live stream. And I will always continue to do that. I might not do the booth just because it puts a lot of stress on me personally when I'm playing like that really long kind of extended amount of tournaments. And I have to deal with managing the people that work for me. So, I mean, I think it's great that they like let me keep my TVs on and it's like a walking billboard. It's really cool. But for what it costs, maybe 25, 30,000, I've already done it 2 years. I'm kind of 50-50 whether I'm not I'm gonna do the booth again. But the commercials will always be there. Now, if you're selling something though, if you're selling an actual product, like, you know, a t-shirt, you have to pay more than 15,000. Like you have to pay, I think it's 25,000. It's like a licensing fee. So if you're physically selling something, it's more.
What do you think? My OBS on Twitch is sort of like lagging out. So anyone on YouTube watching this, you'll be watching this now, but on Twitch you'll be lagged a little bit. Now you'll be back. What do you think the ROI has been for you on doing this? Do you think that you make your money back?
Yeah, I mean, I think I do. I mean, it's tough to. I mean, so we use like a coupon code. Like we hand out like these like free affiliate chips there, and it gets you a free month, and we track it in that way. And then we had a different code for the commercial. And like, honestly, the commercial subscriptions probably like outdid the booth subscriptions like by 3 to 1. But even if it didn't necessarily add up, like even if the booth didn't quite add up to breaking even, there's something to be said just for like brand recognition. It's not just straight like money ROI, like, oh, subscribers equals what that is. There's definitely like a marketing intangible that is there that is worth something. The idea that, hey, Crush Live Poker is doing well. They have a booth here. Their company must be doing well. That means that their product must be good because I saw them in the hall. I'm going to sign. I happened to subscribe 3 months later after the series just because I was looking at something. You see what I'm saying?
No,
so,
for sure. 100%. Yeah.
You know, it's tough to tell, but I think it's pretty close. And what might make me possibly go towards not doing the booth this year, and maybe if I don't do it this year, maybe I'll do it next year, is just just that it's just really hard on me. You know what I mean? Like it's really hard on me playing that type of schedule to manage everything, you know?
I guess you can't have I'm trying to figure out this OBS keeps lagging on Twitch. It's tilting me so hard, but so you can't delegate all that.
I mean, I can delegate that work, but you know, in the end, like it's, you know, I'm not sure if you're hearing me. Are you hearing me right now?
I'm hearing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it just in the end, like it's still me, like in the end, like supervising everything. Yeah, I mean, I do have a guy that has support and he delegates it, but I'm still the one that's always gonna, be inevitably responsible for all that too. Did you have by the way, do you have a Mac or are you on a PC?
PC.
You're on
PC. Yeah.
Because I was gonna say that there's a product that we use. By the way, so I actually have a Twitch show too. I stream a call-in show on Mondays at 4:45 p.m. Pacific time. So if people are on Twitch, they can follow Crush Live Poker on Twitch, and people just call in with their live no limit hands. It's totally free, so that's pretty cool. But I actually bought a product from this company called Telestream called Wirecast, and they're actually doing a Cyber Monday deal too, where normally their product's like $500, but I think they're selling it for like $350 just on Monday, and it is so much better than OBS and it's so much more stable, and it gives you so much more of a options. Like, so I don't know, it might be something you look into. I'm not sure if it's just on a Mac platform. It could be on PC, but it's called Wirecast and it's done wonders for us. So anyway,
I'm got it up here. I'm going to check it out a lot after this gets done.
Yeah, because OBS is a little bit unstable, I think, especially on the Mac client.
Yeah. Goofball Paul says, Goofball Paul in the house this Tuesday. Who's Goofball Paul, man? This guy sounds awesome. Who's this guy?
Well, he was a guy that he's a guy that who he plays on the show, and I think he owns part of the show too. He owns part of the show too, and so I was doing a 1-2 video on him on his game, and it said Golf Ball Paul, but he was kind of playing goofy, and I read the name wrong, so I thought it said Goofball Paul, so I was calling him Goofball Paul throughout the entire video. So now he's Goofball Paul.
So in this game, is this a game you have to, live poker games? This is a game you have got to worry about cheating in this game? Anything happening like that?
No.
The owners are playing in the game. No. Are you sure?
No, those guys aren't going to be playing in the game anyways. For not at this level. No, these are guys that have played for like 2 or 3 years, and it's all local guys in the. There's no way to go about doing that because all the stuff is the broadcasting stuff is in the back, and it's all on a delay anyways. So.
Oh man, I forgot about that. Always that's the anytime you play in like live non-casino games, man. There's always that risk of you never know what they got out there. They got all kind of weird technology out there these days in these home games. So
yeah, no, I understand. I understand what you're saying. I mean, that's part of the reason why that Twitch game had to go on in a house actually in Vegas, because the gaming commission wouldn't allow it in a casino. And so it was like literally in somebody's house. Like they took this guy's house and put this poker table in it. But no, these guys in Ohio are really straight up guys. I've known them for maybe a year or two now, and they just do it kind of just because they love putting on, poker games and stuff.
So your guys' relationship with PokerOnAir for Crush Live Poker? Do you guys have some sort of thing you guys work together and do things together then?
Yeah, like I help to promote their show and I'll commentate on their show here and there. And I actually went there and played there, and they let me use footage for videos basically, because that's what Crush Live Poker is all about. Is just it's about live poker. So there's nothing better than actually doing it on live poker. I mean, I've seen other training sites try to do live poker situations through hand replayers, which is obviously better than nothing. But I think that doing live training over actual play is the best. And that's why I'm so excited about the Poker Night in America stuff, where, a guy like Alec Torelli comes on and talks about hands that he played. Jesse Sylvia, Greg Merson comes on, they do a video about these 25-50 no limit hands that they played. Mm-hmm. Something like that. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I think that'll be really cool.
Yeah.
I think it'll be really, really fun for people to see like their, some of their favorite players go over their hands on the site too. It's like a bonus sort of thing.
I mean, if you had any interest, you could do a video for your, you could do a PLO video on the hands that you play upcoming right now. This week.
We'll see. I'm sure I'll do something with my hands I play on there, but I don't know how much strategy I'm going to be putting into things. We'll see about that.
I mean, I can't speak for Paul and Tony, those guys over there, but I almost 100% positive that they would let you do whatever you want with the video that you have just because you're coming out. So yeah. Almost 100% positive. So.
Marco asks a good question on YouTube, my buddy Marco Papi Colamosa. Marco, is he looking to sell that company? What's it? reaches a certain point or value.
Talking about Crush Live Poker?
I think so, yeah.
That's a really interesting, I've actually thought about, I haven't thought about selling the company, no, but I have had to think about a valuation for the company because I've given away some shares to Andrew, who you'll meet there, and also some profit interests to David, to Tuckman, my best friend. And it's really tough to quantify that because right now the site is still mostly me. So how do I sell the company and not be a part of it moving forward? Mm-hmm. If it gets to a certain point where it's just the infrastructure, where now I think the inevitable goal, Joey, is for me to kind of take a step back and then, have a training site where we have this infrastructure where different people can now just do videos, and that's the site. I'll probably continue to do my weekly podcast, but if it gets to that point, then that's actually a sellable entity, right? Because it's, infrastructure and it's the marketing, the site and all that. Right now, I'm not quite sure how you could say that I could sell it unless I was a part of it also, moving forward. So it's it's a tough one, but I'm definitely not looking to sell it right now. No.
Jack says you can sell it and be hired as an operational manager for salary.
Right. And that, that something like that, I guess, could happen, but it's not, we have it was a nightmare in the beginning with this, our site works off of a platform called Expression Engine, which is kind of the same type of thing as WordPress, but better than WordPress. And we had basically a shopping cart system that was non-functioning. Like the vendor pretty much just lied to us, had some good reviews for the subscription software, and it was just absolutely non-functional. And for the first 12 months, like I've wasted so much time just doing like accounting, busy work, like having to manually go in and cancel subscriptions and stuff like that. We finally migrated over to this much, much better system that this guy wrote, basically. And now it's pretty seamless. Like I've got a guy that does support for me, and it doesn't take a whole lot of time now outside of just producing the content. Whereas the first year was a fucking nightmare. It really was.
So now it's pretty, do you have like a graph for the site? Like, I mean, man, it's always cool. I'm always curious, like, cause I feel like you're the only person that's really like, you sort of took, so like for those people that don't really know Bart's little timeline, like he had this podcast. He started doing a podcast like by himself. Then he worked with a couple different sites. You were on Deuces Crack for a bit. What other sites were you with? So it was Deuce Plays on Deuces Crack, Cash Plays before that. Was something with PokerOnAir too? Yeah, like something on PokerOnAir as well, I believe.
Well, I started doing the main podcast on PokerOnAir back when PokerOnAir launched in 2007. That was with Joe Seabach and Gavin Smith. That was the end of 2007. And then I really wasn't the right person to do their kind of what was sort of like a humorous type of podcast, which was supposed to be like an extension of what they did at Card Player called The Circuit. This is going way back if people are like poker media nerds. And then I transitioned and I did a cash game podcast for them. So I went from the host of their show to doing a cash game podcast called Cash Plays. And all those podcasts are actually on Crush Live Poker. You can just go to Crush Live Poker and click on free content, and they're all archived. That 2008 was really amazing because I got some really, really big interviews.
You had very sick guests on there. I mean, that's where I first met I don't know if you're friends anymore, but that's where I first met Lyman on the pod, listening to the podcast down there, man.
Yeah, I think he might have done a podcast with him like that next year in 2009. But I did a cash game podcast with some really big names in 2000. Sure. And then I met with those guys like over the summer in 2008. Deuces Cracked. I remember having a dinner with them at Buzio's, like Krantz and like Ansky, and kind of pitched them. And then I worked for Deuces Cracked for like 2 or 3 years from 2009 through 2011. It kind of morphed to more training as opposed to interviews, although I did interview like quite a few like big names on Deuces Cracked. And then Black Friday happened, and then we did this thing where it was a subscription. And the response was really, really good. And then after 1 year, I parted way with Deuces Cracked and then started my own thing. So this has been going on for 3 years basically. But yeah, I mean, I have like I have like Matrix and stuff. And the fact that the site continues to grow, in the marketplace of poker is truly phenomenal because, like I said, I just think that all the other training sites, with maybe the exception of Run It Once, are just a shell of themselves now. Deuce's Crack got sold to a big affiliate company, and I have no idea what's going on with Card Runners, but obviously Black Friday basically decimated everything.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
But Adrian Phoenix in the chat. He said,
Oh,
Joey trying to steal my shine. I didn't mention, huh? Adrian, man, you got to watch it from the beginning, Poppy. Adrian Phoenix is I gave a little spoiler for the fans, Adrian, that you might be dressed up in a certain character, but I didn't say who the character was, and I didn't say what you're going to be wearing. So people do have that to look forward to. So
Adrian's your buddy, actually. You know him from before.
You what?
Adrian's your buddy. You've known him from before?
Yes. Adrian, I met Adrian. I lived in Vancouver when I was in Canada, and he was the person who changed my life the most in the past 4 or 5 years. Yeah, and then we hung out a lot. We had a lot of good times. He moved to Montreal. We had like our favorite place. We used to go there like 4 nights a week, and we'd sit at the same bar stools, and we'd go talk to people in there and the girls and stuff like that. And we had some good times together. Yeah, and I haven't seen him in a while because he doesn't come to the United States, and I don't go to Canada. So this is my first time actually seeing him in person in maybe 3 years too. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Are you guys gonna go crush after the show? Go crush on the Akron bar scene?
Yeah, I don't know. AJ's retired from drinking and might be. I don't know. He's in poker mode right now, so he's retired from drinking, the rage life, all that type of stuff. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm sure we'll have a good time out there. I'm trying to get him to go to Atlantic City with me afterwards, but not sure if he's going to be able to do it or not right now. So.
What was the deal with Vancouver girls? I've been to Vancouver a couple times, and I know some of the locals I talked to said that it's kind of that people aren't all that friendly there. I mean, I didn't do a lot of going out specifically in Vancouver, but what was your take on that?
Over that period of time. So I thought Vancouver was a great place to meet people. Yeah, there's like a couple different sections of town. It really depends where you went to, which type of like restaurants or lounges or bars or anything like that you'd actually go to. But I think I think it's a pretty good place, a really great place actually to meet people.
Wow, that OBS thing is kind of, wow, it's just all flickering. But yeah, well, but yeah, the other thing that I want to say about Crush Live Poker too is that it's just mid-stakes live no limit is just a thing that's always going to be around here in LA. I mean, I think that it's definitely, probably getting smaller and smaller and contracting in other places. But LA, there's just a history of poker playing, and there's just so many people. I mean, this is really a population center for the U.S., the biggest population center for the U.S. If you go from, Orange County up to Ventura County, and there's just a tradition of poker playing, recreational poker playing. So they will always be poker here in LA. And I would say, interesting stat, that maybe 70% of my subscribers are actually from California, and 93% are from the US, which is just crazy because we've always tried to break into like the foreign market and stuff. But, I don't really know what to say. I've tried to do different advertising campaigns and stuff like that, through different mailings, and it just hasn't really worked out. I just wonder how big poker actually is in some of these other countries.
Well, I mean, I was just looking at my demographics the other day, and 25% of my views, which is like over 2 million, is from the United States, and 10% is from Canada. The rest is from the rest of the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you have a quite diverse listenership.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I was looking at the other day. I was like, God, really? Only 25% from US and 10% Canada, and the rest is just like, UK, all the European countries.
Well, yeah,
but there's a lot of PLO stuff. But I think PLO is more popular game over there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, how much live PLO have you actually played?
Not that much. I played a bunch of hours this summer, but outside of that,
you played a bunch of hours at the Bellagio, or
I played at Aria a lot this summer. Yeah, at Aria. I played whenever the 5, 10, 20 game ran. I played that, and then that didn't run too much. So I played the 2, 5, 10 game.
So how does live PLO compare to I mean, I could give you a dissertation on live no limit versus online no limit, but I assume that live PLO is like way different than online PLO?
It's just, yeah, more calling, more people calling 3-bets, more people going multi-way to the flop. You know, hand ranges become a little bit wider for in a lot of situations for people. You sometimes might have to you might want to take advantage of some spots, whereas online you might not take advantage of the spots just because there's going to be better spots that come up. Whereas live, you might feel like that might be the best spot you see against a certain player, you know, over a period of time. So you might want to take advantage of that. Yeah, it's sort of like a different game in a way, it feels like.
Did you see some of like these old, like, I don't know, like oil guys from Texas like roll through the game, or is that kind of like just like a myth?
Maybe not at the stakes I was playing at. I mean, you definitely saw, you know, regulars that never should be playing deep stack PLO. You saw a lot of fun players who should never be playing deep stack PLO, but you never really saw like that. I met one guy from Texas at 5, 10, 20, but he actually played pretty well. So he played tighter, but didn't play terrible. And that was sort of like, he was in that sort of industry. So that was my experience with that guy.
Do you ever think that you could like make it as a live grinder, or it's just something that you wouldn't want to do? Like if there was, you had no option.
I think I would become like a, no, I wouldn't do that, man. I don't know. Like just live PLO. I mean, that's a terrible way to make like 15, like you said, like 18 hands an hour sort of thing. Like it's just not very appealing. No.
So when are you going to Ohio? Are you driving there or you're flying?
I haven't figured that out yet, Bart. It's a great question. I've been thinking about that because the drive's like 4.5 hours, 4 hours, but the flight's an hour and like 20 minutes. So it's like an hour to the airport, hour to wait there, and you go there. You got to rent the car, get a ride, whatever. Go to the hotel. So I'm like, I kind of just want to drive there, but then I'm undecided. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I think I'm just going to drive there, but I'm not sure.
Well, we drove from Rochester. Andrew's coming from Rochester the other way. Yeah, it is like 4.5 hours, but you said you were going to go on to Atlantic City, or you don't know?
I'm going to go to Atlantic City, but I might come back first and then go to Atlantic City. I'm undecided. So like, I just have I don't know what to do, man.
Yeah. Well, I guarantee you're going to have a great time. So
I'm excited to meet the people that are behind the tour, man. I'm excited to meet the people that I put on the game. You know, it's always cool to meet a lot of people that are doing cool things like that, or that are involved in, you know, creating content and just talk ideas and, you know, see what they're thinking about different things. So I think it'll be a cool experience. It'll be fun. And and I'm going to try to make $10,000 in the stream. So
I think that there's going to be a bunch of money flying around from if it's a $1,500 buy-in, I think it's possible. I mean, 10,000 is a lot, but it's possible somebody might be up 5,000. There's no rake too. So that's kind of cool as well. But Joey, I think you and I just met recently in person at the Poker Awards, right? Mm-hmm. In LA. Is that right? And then you actually went to, you know, speaking of trying to like meet all, you know, networking and stuff, you actually sat through all those panels and all that stuff before the party, right?
Yeah, I went to the conference and I was in the conference. That was actually one of the smartest things I ever did, was go to that conference.
Did that help you with?
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh yeah, I met people there that, you know, I'm still friends with now that I would never have met. Yeah.
So what do you think about that guy from the Global Poker Index? Like, what's his deal? Like, I wonder like what that guy's agenda is. It seems like for some reason people have a negative look on him or what he's trying to do. I find it peculiar that someone's investing a lot of money, again, like I said before, in stuff in poker where there isn't a whole lot of money in poker. But he seems to be the only one putting money into poker. So I think it's an interesting situation, and he kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty surprised by the negative feedback he gets. We're talking about Alexander Dreyfus, who was with the Global Poker Index, who is sort of leading this revolution, I guess you could say, in the poker industry right now. He has the draft coming up for his teams here in February. That'll be there too. And I think it's good. I mean, I think he's got, he's really ambitious. He's French. And and yeah, no, I really like I like what he's doing. I think he's very motivated. I think he works hard. I think he's a smooth talker, so he can get the investors that are, want to invest in what he's doing. And it seems like he's going to have a future, but I think people will get on board. I think they might be against it now, but in 1 to 2 years, they're going to be forced to be on board because it's going to be so popular.
So you think that it's actually it's possible that what he's trying to do is going to be a money making kind of venture?
I don't know if it's going to make money. I'm not sure how, but
that's my question. It's just like anytime anybody brings an idea for poker, to me, I'm just like, well, you guys just don't understand how hard it is to, it's not 2005, 2006. Like, it's so amazing. I would really, really love for someone to actually who played in the big games back in the day. I'm talking back in the day, like after Moneymaker, but before 2000, in the golden time, even before like they stopped the party poker skins, which was, they called that, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but that was kind of the first thing that happened before Black Friday. Used to be able to play on skins on party poker and get rake back, and that stopped at the end of 2006. But between that sweet spot between 2003 and 2006, like these guys that were playing in these games, like in the 2,000, 4,000 limit mix games, you remember the lineup, but they were getting paid out, $1 million a month or whatever it was from other ventures, or getting, paid $100,000 appearance fees. Like, were these guys ever any good at poker? You know what I mean? Like, the first seasons of high stakes poker, you see some of these guys, and at the time people were like, well, they're just playing on another level. That's why he cold called the Jack 4 suited in the small blind. He's playing on another level. I'm just like, what? I think it might have all been a big sham, dude.
Yeah, I may agree. Were they ever good at poker? I'm not sure. Like, a lot of these like name guys who are the famous guys from tournaments worlds, like, I don't think they were ever good at poker. I talk about this sometimes too. Like, I don't think those guys were. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think they were good at all. No.
I mean, if you look at like a Chris Jesus Ferguson, I remember he used to play in some cash games, and he actually plays exactly like a lot of these tournament guys in cash games, which is like super tight ABC because they don't have experience in cash games. But if you watched him play like tournaments, like, what was he doing? And it's kind of like it's Phil Gordon, Chris Ferguson. I have a lot of respect for Daniel. Daniel, I think, is actually a really good player, but he might be one of the only ones that comes out of that era. You know what I mean? Like, that was decent. So I don't know.
It's pretty funny to look back on that though. And, it's like the entire idea of like a celebrity poker player, someone who's like a famous poker player. Like I guess a lot of guys were never really famous for being good at poker. They were famous for like being talkers and being in the right circle of people and
being able to cut bananas or cut fruit with like playing cards.
Right. Yeah, like it's it's sort of funny. And I guess it'll always be like that in poker. I think you'll always be people that are getting recognition for not actually being good at the game. So it's sort of, those guys are usually the most fun because people that are working hard and that are like really trying to get good at poker and really trying to work hard normally that might not be that entertaining. So they,
I mean, a lot of those guys were just at the right place at the right time, though, too. I mean, remember, if you did well in 2003 and 2004 at the World Series, you were one of those guys, one of those poker pro guys. That's how we talked about. That's how Dutch Boyd got popular, or the crew, Scott Fishman and Dutch Boyd. They in 2003, and then I think Fishman won in 2004, like 2 bracelets or something like that. I don't know if you're watching this old World Series of poker stuff, but.
I've seen it all back in the day. I've watched it. I've spent way too many hours watching it. Yeah.
It's like we got 4 bracelets and we're 25. Remember that cutaway?
Holy fuck, man. That's some great stuff. Yeah, that's really good stuff. The crew.
Yeah, the crew. Yeah.
The fucking crew, man.
Although I do see I do see Gank kicking around sometimes. He plays a lot of split pot events. So Brent Youngblood or whatever, like he'll play like the 1500 stud 8 and like the 1500 08, and he'll be kicking around the Rio sometimes. I haven't seen Scott Fishman around like in a long time. And yeah, Dutch Boyd Dutch Boyd kind of disappeared and then he came back. So
yeah, I mean, I like those first coming up. Like, I loved the crew, and I loved watching all those guys on TV, all the personalities of Avad Khan. Like I enjoyed that stuff so much. That was so much fun. So
yeah, Avad Khan he was one of the first guests on that original Poker Road show. But yeah, he came like way later. The bulldozer. Yeah.
Bulldozer. Yeah, I love that guy.
But where did these guys go? Like, where did that guy go?
They're not winning poker players. We're like, they can't keep. They're not winning at the game. They're not like. Where would they? How are they going to keep playing?
Dude, the final table that I made that was on TV, which was in 2007, in a 1500 event, this Irish guy won. That was actually that's actually a cool final table because Alex Jacob was on that final table too. So Alex Jacob obviously been in the news for being. Is he on Jeopardy again? I saw that
I think he won the Jeopardy that he was just on again, but I think now he's done on it.
Okay, so he's been on 2 different stints or something like that?
Yeah, he's been on 2 different stints, I believe. Yeah, because he came back for the Tournament of Champions. So he was on there, and then he was on Tournament of Champions.
Yeah, so he was on that. He was on my final table, 2007. You probably can get it on PokerTube or something, 2007 WSOP. But, like, the guy that won that tournament, his name was Kieran O'Leary. He was a guy from Ireland. Like, I think first prize was maybe 800,000. I saw that guy play every $10,000 event around for like the next 2 years, and he didn't cash once. If you look at his Hendon mob, he literally, that might be like his only cash, like that win, that $800,000 win, or maybe he's got something else. And then he was at the World Series for like 2 or 3 years later, and then he's just gone, totally gone. Never seen him again. I mean, I guess it's just not. I mean, I guess it's not that uncommon, but.
Oh man, I actually got to wrap it up here. I was going to try to keep this under an hour and 15 minutes, but I was really enjoying this conversation because this is like classic poker shit right here. So this is super fun. So you coming on? I'm gonna be back, guys, tomorrow, Monday afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern with Jason Moe, and you can see the Poker on Air cash game, which will be Tuesday night, 7 p.m. I'll be there. My buddy Adrian Phoenix will be there. And anybody else people know from the stream going to be in the game, or is that it? Are there any other guys coming?
Well, some of the regular people that play on that show, but maybe not people that aren't necessarily familiar with the show. But the easiest way to do it, if you're watching Joey's thing on Twitch, is just to follow Poker on Air right now. Just twitch.tv Poker on Air and just follow, and then you get an email notification of when the show is going to be on. But it's on at 7 Eastern to 11, and it's going to be 125 PLO and 25 no limit with a $1,500 buy-in, and I am going to be commentating on it.
Boom.
So
I'm excited for that. I hope if you say some bad things, I'm gonna fucking kill you, Bart. You know that?
Yeah.
No, I'm excited, man. It's gonna be a good time. I can't wait. I'm excited to see my buddy Adrian, man. Follow Poker on Air. The link's in the Twitch right there. I'm gonna put a link in the YouTube below. Bart's got a lot of stuff. Check out his website, Crush Live Poker. They got Cyber Monday tomorrow. If you're watching this, sign up. $15, $15.99, $14.99 tomorrow.
Forever, 50% off forever. And I do a Twitch show too on Mondays, Crush Live Poker. You can follow Crush Live Poker here on Twitch.
Twitch TV /Crush Live Poker on Twitter, twitter.com/Bart Hanson. Is that it? Did I plug everything?
Yeah.
I feel like I think I missed like 2 things.
You got it. Thanks.
Joey trying to be threatening, man. He says, I wasn't trying. I was just, come on, man. I'm not trying to threaten anybody like that. Come on. All right, guys, on Twitch, on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Be back tomorrow. And Bart, thanks a lot for coming on. I'll chat with you soon, man. If I don't chat with you soon, I will chat with you at the Poker Awards in LA again this year. So, all
right, awesome.
All right, man. I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Adios. Take care.